Hey everyone, thanks for joining. My name is David with Royal, and today I'm going to show you how you can simplify your digital life using Windows 10 and the built-in security features that it has. So this is going to be relevant for the small business owners as well as individuals considering to upgrade to Windows 10. And I'm going to tell you all the great reasons why you should do that and how it's going to ultimately save you money and protect your data. Let's go ahead and get started. So you may think you have the best data security solutions, but the fact of the matter is the security landscape has changed. Today we're experiencing a revolution of cyber threats. Where cyber threats have been and where they're going has changed a lot. We're all familiar with cybercrime. Hopefully none of you have experienced this, but many of you may have been victims to credit card theft or having your email account hacked, etc. The revolution is that cyber espionage, cyber warfare, and cyber terror are becoming more and more prevalent. In the past, attackers focused on Fortune 500 companies with big budgets and large networks. The revolution is that attackers are going after nearly any target, all verticals, supply chains, subcontractors, line level individuals, and small businesses. It also means maybe your personal home laptop, computer, or tablet, which is kind of scary. In the past, malware vulnerabilities have been a bulk of the active threats, but in today's revolution, credential theft is now at scale, and advanced persistent threats are becoming more and more widespread. So these are much more sophisticated than your basic malware and pop-up browser hijacks. I mean, these are really becoming advanced. Organizations with enormous security budgets and elite security analysts are struggling to address these modern threats. This is kind of concerning because these guys have the best of the best and they're still struggling and still getting hacked. I don't know if you guys have heard about the Target hack, but Target's credit card breach resulted in millions of credit cards appearing in the marketplace. The Target hackers broke into the network using a stolen username and password that had been created for the company servicing their air conditioning systems. So if you can imagine explaining that one to your board and saying, oh, well, we did have a hack, but it was an outside contractor. What can you do at that point? In the meantime, your brand is now compromised. Sony was another big hack. Their PlayStation Network was hacked and they were down for months. I believe it was like 3+ months of no PlayStation Network for those gamers out there. The malware sample with the Sony computer names in it was designed to systematically connect to each server on the list. It contains a username and password and a list of internal systems, and it connects to each of them and wipes the hard drives. So this virus basically connected to one computer and then used that computer to connect to another computer and so on and so forth. Furthermore, that wiped the hard drives of those computers, resulting in a massive data loss. Sony got hacked hard, and this is not unusual, unfortunately, in today's world. Furthermore, the Sony hackers threatened a 9/11 attack on movie theaters. So they just added another level of abuse and fear to the whole situation, which is ultimately stressful and just plain unnecessary, but it does happen. The evolution of attacks. On the x-axis, we've got the targeting. On the y-axis, we have sophistication. So in 2003, 2004, script kiddies were the main culprits of hacks. They used pre-written scripts to try to penetrate systems and gain access. The motive was mischief. In 2005 to around 2010, 2011, we saw a rise in organized crime, ransomware, click fraud, identity theft. The motive there was profit. And in 2012 and beyond, we're seeing nation states, activists, terror groups who are brazen, complex, persistent, and whose motives include IP theft, damage, disruption, and also profit so that they can keep running their criminal enterprises. Now that's kind of the guys that we're dealing with, so much more serious. Here's the anatomy of an attack. Let's say you're a guy or gal here with a healthy computer. You receive an email. Maybe that email has a link that you click and you're lured to a malicious website. From there, the malicious website installs some malware onto your computer, and now your device is infected. Maybe your help desk logs into the device and tries to fix it. At that point, your identity has been stolen, and the attacker has the increased privileges. So what the hacker is going to do then is connect to all the computers on the network and infect every single computer that he or she can to get the most access, and maybe potentially even lock out users from the network to prevent detection. So we've got to realize that addressing these threats requires a new approach. We've really got to break the attack playbook of these hackers, and we need to eliminate the actual vectors of the attack. Building a really big wall, a big enough wall, will still allow certain people to get in, so we need security from the inside out. A new challenge requires a new platform. So let's just take a look here quickly at Windows 7 versus Windows 10 and how these platforms deal with identity protection, data protection, threat resistance, and device security. You'll see here Windows 7 really just doesn't have the level of protection that Windows 10 has. Password theft with Windows 7 was increasingly successful. It was pretty cumbersome to employ a multi-factor solution. You typically need to use a third party in most cases, like for data protection, use of third-party solutions with varying experiences. With threat resistance, apps are trusted until they're determined to be a threat. There was no realistic way to detect the 300,000 plus new threats per day. Again, frequent use of a third party. And the device security, the platform security, was built on software alone, so it didn't employ a hardware solution. So it allowed malware to hide in the device itself. With Windows 10, these things were all addressed. You've got the multi-factor authentication. For those of you who don't know what multi-factor authentication is, it would essentially be two forms. It could be your face scan, it could be an iris scan of your eye, it could be a PIN in conjunction with a password. Multi just means more than one, so it's better than a single factor authentication, which would be something like just a password, like when you sign in for your email or something like that. For your data protection, you've got disk encryption built in. You've also got data loss prevention built in. It actually protects the boot sector of your hard drive so that the files cannot be compromised, essentially. And mobile level lockdown is possible for desktop machines. Devices are able to move into the trusted app model, so that apps need to be trusted before they're run, so that the risk of malware infection is drastically reduced. The integration platform in hardware security provides protection from power on and power off and eliminates opportunities to tamper and hide from the system. That's in device security for Windows 10. Going back to basically that boot file protection or your system file protection, it's going to make sure that no files have been changed before booting up, so that Windows is always the first software to load and not some form of malware. So we're going to talk about these four areas in defending against modern security threats using secured devices, secured identities, threat resistance, and information protection. Let's get started on secured devices. This goes back to the topic that we literally just touched on, which was hardware-rooted trust. Secured roots of trust, secured hardware. It provides device integrity, cryptographic processing, virtualization, and biometric sensors. So with device integrity, with respect to this is how malware would compromise the device integrity. Malware tampers with hardware and corrupts operating system before it starts. But with Windows 10, UEFI Secure Boot prevents device tampering and ensures OS integrity. And it basically makes sure that the OS doesn't start up unless it has integrity, basically. Cryptographic processing. Malware would compromise integrity related to defenses and gain unauthorized access to sensitive information. With Windows 10, the TPM processor provides tamper-proof integrity validation and prevents unauthorized access to sensitive information. For server or computer virtualization, malware gains admin level privilege, gains full access to the system, and disables system defenses to evade detection. With this new level of virtualization that Microsoft has introduced with Windows 10, processor-based virtualization isolates critical system components and data and protects even in the event of a full system compromise. You combine that with biometric authentication, that increases the level of difficulty for an attacker and really doesn't make it cost effective. They're looking for more low-hanging fruit. If you're validating or using a two-factor authentication method with a biometric sensor like an iris scan, a fingerprint scan, a facial scan, the hacker needs more than just your password or PIN to gain access. So we want to talk about the end of passwords and the beginning of two-factor authentication for everyone. And these were part of Windows 10's identity goals, was to mainstream two-factor authentication, make credentials theft-resistant and breach-proof, also phish-proof, deliver solutions to both consumers and business users, and use credentials on familiar mobile devices for desktop sign-in. We'll get into more of these in just a moment. User identity and authentication. So in this slide, we can't really help the people that just flat out share secrets. In this slide, the user is the problem because they're giving their password out to someone else or the secret out to someone else. That being said, there are a lot of features to prevent this from happening for those chatty patties out there who like to post things on social media. But this is just an example of one of the threats that are out there. But a more common threat, a more common way that people are going to hack you are going to be utilizing a password that you might use on multiple websites. So you actually hacking the websites that you go to, because each time you visit a website, your computer is connecting to that website. So if you're using the same username and password for all of your websites, your banking site, your Facebook, or your social media site, or some other site, a hacker is going to kind of take a roster of the sites that you go to, and then he's going to attack the weakest site and get the password. From there, he or she might leverage those stolen credentials on the high value sites like your banking or your social media, maybe even your work server. This is a different way that an organization can get hacked or a user can get hacked. A user is going to connect to an organization through a device. The bad guy is just going to target that device. He's not going to target the system because it's much more risky, it's much more difficult. He's going to go through the path of least resistance. So he's going to go to your device, he's going to hack your device, and that's really it. Oh, let me go back here. That's really it. Now he has access to all your network resources. A third example of a kind of failing solution would be a PKI solution. These do work really well when they're secured properly, but they're still prone to attack, and they're complex and costly. So what companies can do is use a certificate authority to manage the users connecting to their network. And a certificate authority is typically a third party that the company can reference, or that the company server can reference, to ensure that you are who you say you are. So you're going to say, hey, look, I'm Joe Bob, and I'm connecting to the certificate authority because I work for this company. And the certificate authority says, okay, here's your certificate. From there, Joe Bob goes to his Active Directory or his server, and he says, hey, look, here is my certificate. I would like a token so that I can have access to the files. I'm certified. Give me a token, please. And the Active Directory is going to say, sure, here's your token. You're going to then use that token to access your network resources. Well, the hacker, in this case, is not going to target the Active Directory or try to break into the network resources. He's going to do it the easiest way possible. He's just going to attack the certificate authority. From there, he's going to have access to your certificate, and then be able to get a token to access your resources. So again, very inefficient way of securing your data. And then here's the kind of like the last failing solution that modern businesses are still employing, but should change to and can change to with the help of Windows 10, is only using limited multi-factor authentication. So maybe the user is using multi-factor to get access to his VPN or to the certificate authority. I don't know if some of you guys in the IT world have seen, you've got those secure keys where they kind of look like a dog tag with a little LCD display with rolling numbers. That's one form of multi-factor authentication. Well, once you kind of use that multi-factor, the weakest link is still the fact that the email, wireless, OneDrive, and file servers aren't multi-factor. So you're just using another password, which a hacker could easily steal, and then he doesn't even need the multi-factor. You can just bypass that completely. So what do? Whether you're a small business or an enterprise, you want to simplify your implementation, and you want to reduce costs. Just a little caveat here. I know that we couldn't afford to be down for over 24 hours, never mind a full business day. Sony was down for over 3 months, if you can imagine that. It really damages your reputation as a business. You can lose some of your intellectual property. You can almost lose your entire business if the hack is bad enough. So I just really want to emphasize the importance of what we're going to talk about here, and how it could really change your life in terms of providing you with that level of protection that's going to allow you to focus on your business and not a breach, a hack, or setting something up with some kind of third party. We're trying to give you solutions to eliminate your IT department and allow you to scale your business. So let's go ahead and get back into it here, but just wanted to go into that really quickly. So with Windows 10, Azure, Intune, multi-factor with your existing devices. That simplifies deployment. So maybe you're using your cell phone as a way to authenticate your laptop logon or something like that, and Microsoft makes a lot of really simple apps and tools to make this seamless. Like when I log into certain Windows devices, it just pops up on my phone. It says accept or deny, or I use my PIN in conjunction with a password, and that's really changed the way that I do things, and it is actually much faster and much more secure. We want to introduce the Microsoft Passport. It's device-based multi-factor authentication. And for those of you cybersecurity nerds out there, experts, it's an asymmetrical key pair provisioned by a private key index or created locally within Windows 10. So you've got multiple options here. You can utilize your familiar devices, and it's secured at the hardware level, which again is really, really big. Most third-party apps are only securing at the software level. If they are securing at the hardware level, it normally requires you to buy some sort of proprietary hardware. So we're giving you enterprise-grade security on your laptop, on your desktop. It's pretty cool. This is key-based authentication. It's a new approach. So instead of going to a certificate authority or something like that, you're just going to prove your identity to the Active Directory. And you're going to provide that Active Directory with a unique key. You're going to say, hey, trust my unique key. Active Directory is going to give you your authorization token, and then you're going to have access to your resources. And this is done all with multi-factor authentication. So you can access credentials with a PIN. That's my favorite thing to do. I don't even enter in a password anymore. It's typically just a PIN. It's the simplest implementation option, no hardware dependencies, and user familiarity. Combine that with Windows Hello, you can have a higher level of security. It's still really easy to use and impossible to forget using fingerprint technology, facial scanning, iris scanning, things of that nature. So identity for business. This is a world beyond passwords. It's a world with two-factor authentication. We really want to change the world and how people connect and make it simpler yet more secure. A PIN or biometric plus device or PIN or biometric plus your device, breach, theft, and phish-proof identities, single sign-on for on-prem, on the web, and across your site. So you're not managing a whole ton of passwords, and especially if you combine it with Windows Hello, you're really just using your face or your eye or something like that. Sign into devices using Azure Active Directory. Let's get into user identity and authentication here. Derive credentials and access tokens. So this is a little exercise here called pass the hash. That's a hard one to say 3 times. Pass the hash attacks. Today's security challenge. This is kind of an insight into how a hacker might gain access to your entire network. It's called pass the hash attacks. So the IT professional's machine is compromised. The IT professional manages kiosks or shared devices on the network. So the attacker steals the IT pro's access token. He's then able to gain access to the shared devices, like a hard drive or a server for files or even a printer or something like that. Using the IT professional's access token, the attacker looks for kiosks / shared devices and mines those. They then mine those devices for additional tokens. It's called passing the hash. From there, they're going to repeat, and guess what? They have access to almost your entire network. It's today's security challenge, but Windows 10, Active Directory, Azure, Intune now have policies and procedures in place to prevent small businesses and organizations, even individuals, from essentially falling victim to this kind of attack. They've gone from hypothetical to very real threats, these pass the hash attacks. It enables an attacker to get user access tokens using common tools like Mimikatz. Once obtained, an attacker is often able to steal additional access tokens. I might add, Mimikatz is something you can download off the internet. Enables an attacker to frequently persist once detected. So once the hacker has all these tokens, you might only identify one of the tokens that was stolen. He has access to hundreds or tens of tokens on your network and is able to effectively lock people out and do whatever they want. It's like a playground for a hacker once they have all the keys to your digital infrastructure. So here's the solution. These are kind of techy, but long story short, it requires a Windows 10 client and domain controller, but it fully randomizes and prevents full-length hash to prevent brute force attacks. So we want to democratize data loss prevention. Data leakage. Here's some really cool stats here. Kind of unbelievable, but at the same time, I think we're all a little bit guilty of some of these. 87% of senior managers admit to regularly uploading work files to a personal email or cloud account. 58% have accidentally sent sensitive information to the wrong person. I don't know if some of you have ever typed the wrong first couple letters of someone's email address and it's sent to someone completely different, but it does happen. We make mistakes. We're all human. Still very scary and can really threaten, the livelihood of your business. $240 per record is the average per record cost of a data breach across all industries. And just to give you an insight, a record is so small. I mean, a record could be one person's name, one email address, one piece of data. So you could have hundreds of thousands of records that have been breached, and each one of those would cost you $240. These are not really conservative estimates. I mean, hacks cost businesses billions of dollars each year. Businesses spend billions of dollars each year to prevent against this kind of stuff. And the real benefit here is that you have a lot of these inherent features with Windows 10. So information protection needs device protection. We want to protect system and data when the device is lost or stolen. We'd like data separation. We need containment. Telecommuting, bring your own device, is becoming more and more prevalent, and we need some separation there. We need to work with others for leak protection, prevent unauthorized applications from accessing data. We also need sharing protection for those chatty patties out there who are looking to share things on social media or outside the organization. We need to protect that data when shared with others. So let's get into some device protection. Data at rest protection, the threat of lost or stolen devices. There are risks of unencrypted devices going and exposing data. User credentials can be stolen and admin account passwords can be reset with the offline tools. Decommissioned desktops and servers create risk. So data at rest protection, even if it's a computer that you don't use, it's connected to the network, it's actually more likely to be hacked. If someone does steal your credentials, you can reset and reconfigure with a new device and be back up and running in no time, as long as you really have some kind of multi-factor authentication set up, you're set. Device encryption. So BitLocker is a tool to really try to help against hacking and protect your devices. And your devices can be encrypted out of the box with BitLocker. The easiest deployment, leading security, reliability, and performance option. Single sign-on for modern devices, and it's configurable with Windows 7 hardware. It's basically an enterprise-grade management and compliance solution for those of you having to comply with MBAM and FIPS. So, market solutions for information protection. Compromise user experience, ease of deployment, lowest cost, or better user experience, difficult to deploy, and higher cost. Which one do you choose? Well, now you don't have to choose one. You've got the best of both worlds. Introducing enterprise data protection. We are increasing information availability and also increasing the level of security when interacting with that information. Protects data at rest and wherever it rests or may roam to. Seamless integration into any platform, no mode switching, and use in any app. Corporate versus personal data identifiable wherever it rests on the device. So corporate versus personal doesn't matter. The data is identifiable wherever it is. Prevents unauthorized apps from accessing business data, and IT has full control of keys and data and can remote wipe on demand. This is a common experience across all Windows 10 devices with cross-platform support. So big business tools at a small business price. You basically get the tools that enterprises are looking for and can currently use in addition to small businesses built into Windows 10. So here's an example here of someone saving an encrypted file. They're just going to go ahead and use the gold lock when you save the file name. It's right here. And that's going to show you how to save an encrypted file. From here you see that it is protected. So let's talk a little bit about leak protection. It looks like someone here is trying to share some insider stock information on their Twitter. Pasting content from a corporate document to a public location is not allowed in this scenario, and that's all with the help of these new tools. So, Chatty Patty, you have been thwarted this time. Chatty Patty's trying to do this again, so maybe she has a good reason. Maybe this is something we're allowed to share. She does have the opportunity to tell us why she's doing this. But we do maybe want to prevent this, and this is kind of the option to allow users who might be sharing on social media to be able to do this. Well, let's say you don't have that, there's no reason to be sharing this, and now this person wants to share something on their social media account using their phone. Well, we've got a solution for that too. Sorry, Chatty Patty, you're not going to be able to copy and paste that. If you paste anyway, your action and content will be logged for the IT guide to review. So you'll draw a red flag immediately, unless, again, it's part of your job description, in which case you are allowed to paste anyway. Ensuring protection. Rights management services. Adding persistent and non-removable protection to data. Significant improvements over Windows 7. Not to mention, this is something that you'll find in Office 365, Intune, Azure AD, etc. Protect all file types everywhere they go, cloud, email, bring your own device, etc. Support all commonly used devices and systems, Windows, OS X, iOS, Android. Can be automatically applied to Mail, OneDrive Pro, etc. Support for B2B and B2B via Azure AD. Support for on-prem and cloud-based scenarios like Office 365. And seamless, easy to provision, and support for FIPS 140-2 regulation and compliance. So let's complete the stack here. We'll get into active threat protection, and we'll kind of talk about today's challenges. There's an app for everything these days, almost, it seems, and the goal of apps are to make you more productive, but also using some of these apps and it puts you at risk for certain security threats. So we'll get into some of the ways that Windows 10 can help you use the apps that you're familiar with, but make sure that they're signed and secured in a way that's going to drastically reduce the amount of risk that you're taking as an individual or company. So in the past, apps were trusted by default until they were defined as a threat. Detection-based methods were kind of unable to keep up because there are so many new threats every single day. This is what the future must depend on. App trust must be earned, just like in real life. Real trust has to be earned. So we traditionally thought that there were two paths to choose from. Device guard is kind of like the premier way. It's a new approach for the Windows desktop, and it requires a change in process for apps. It also offers incredible protection. We're going to tell you why in just a moment. The traditional approach was we're going to leave things the way that they've been, and it requires additional software to manage. And it carries increased risk when you're dealing with additional software, additional code, which then has additional exploits and additional threats therein. So it's kind of like a rabbit hole, and we're trying to just simplify the entire approach. So again, device guard is the right choice. It's the future. We'll tell you why. It's hardware-rooted app control. Windows desktops can be locked down to only run trusted apps, just like many mobile OSs, like your iPhone or your Windows phone. Untrusted apps and executables, such as malware, are unable to run. These make it resistant to tampering by administrator or malware. This works with Windows 8 certified or greater hardware, and of course all the new hardware has these features built in. Device guard, getting apps into the circle of trust. Supports all apps, including universal and desktop, including 32-bit, applications written long before this PowerPoint. Trusted apps can be created by IHV, ISV, and organizations using a Microsoft-provided signing service, kind of like the certificate authority method, but a little bit different. Apps must be specifically signed using the Microsoft signing service. No additional modification is required. For enterprise, signing service will be made available to OEMs, IHVs, ISVs, and enterprises. So you basically trust your app by signing it with a certificate saying this is the genuine version of the app. Now, if any malware tries to compromise that app and maybe replace some of the code with some malicious code, that's going to alert the device guard, and it's not going to match up with the certificate that the app was originally signed with. So that prevents malware most of the time. And I would say, no solution is 100% secure against hackers. There's always going to be a new exploit, a new hack, but this is ahead of the curve. And not only that, you're seeing methods that have traditionally only been employed in custom third-party solutions that are really, really expensive. So this is a really cool feature. Again, we want to stay away from the traditional approach. It carries increased risk and it requires additional software and/or third party. The type of threats to consider and mitigate: device tampering, vulnerabilities, malware, and phishing. Again, that's all associated with the traditional approach. Device and platform integrity, ensuring Windows starts on a trustworthy device. That UEFI boot protection helps prevent firmware attacks and ensures Windows starts before any malware. TPM enables local and remote verification of system integrity before system start. So basically comparing your files to known good versions of those system files and making sure that they haven't been tampered with. Windows Trusted Boot prevents malware from starting during boot process and can protect against viruses and basically protects your antivirus as well, because your antivirus is only as good as the coders that wrote it, and there are exploits even for antivirus, or if your hardware has been exploited on, say, a traditional system that doesn't have the hardware level security that Windows 10 has, your antivirus is then rendered useless. Windows isolates system core and puts sensitive processes into containers, offering protection even with the kernel level breach. So the kernel level breach was, again, someone trying to compromise your system files. Doesn't matter on Windows 10, you're still secure. App security and online safety protects system and apps from most common forms of malware. Windows vulnerability mitigations reduce or eliminate impacts of exploits. Windows sandboxes universal apps, validates app integrity, and offers app control. Windows includes Windows Defender, an advanced antivirus and malware solution. One thing I might add, Microsoft is saying that Windows Defender can really be your one-stop shop. Combined with all the built-in security features of Windows 10, you're not going to need a third-party antivirus or malware removing tool. That's kind of what Windows Defender is designed for. I know at Microsoft that's what we're running. So let's go ahead and get into the last couple bullets here. Windows and IE Smart Screen blocks malicious websites and apps before they get a chance to impact the device. And WinRE integration helps remediate when the OS or other defenses become inoperable. It's all about promoting conditional access, blocking unhealthy devices to protect resources and prevent proliferation. So we don't want the one device getting hacked to result in your whole network getting hacked, and that's really the big differentiator here. Windows Provable PC Health, PPCH, provides remote attestation services and can initiate remediation when necessary. Denying access to endpoints that are unable to prove that they're healthy. Intune will provide conditional access based on PPCH health state claims, again, preventing infected computers from accessing critical resources. PPCH cloud service and health claims are available for use by third-party network access, security, and management solutions. So in the past, PC health was just assumed. Access please, you're in. Oh, well, guess what? This is not good. Your computer's infected, now all of this can be infected. Your file servers, OneDrive, email, your Wi-Fi. Well, with these 4 security-centric topics, we're able to prevent that from happening. It's called data loss prevention, combined with two-factor authentication for everyone, hardware rooted trust, and active threat protection. It's all built into Windows 10. I was an avid and die-hard Windows 7 64-bit user. I thought Windows 10 was going to slow down my box. I've configured Windows 10 now and it's blazing fast. It's way faster actually than my Windows 7 machine. Plus it's got all these great security features. I mean, you really can't go wrong. If you've got any questions about Windows 10, you want to shoot me an email or give us a call. I'm going to put my contact information up on the screen for you in just a moment. I think we might have just 1 or 2 more slides here. Here's the last slide. So if you have any questions, comments, concerns, contact me or the Royal team directly at 1-877-292-7712. We've got a group of in-house licensed professionals here to help you with your needs and put together a solution for you. So you don't have to know about all these features. That's what we do. We really take pride in providing the best tailored solutions to businesses at no charge. We don't charge you at all. So please give me a call, 1-877-292-7712, sales at Royal Discount, or you can reach me directly at david@royaldiscount.com. Thanks so much for joining it. Hope to see you guys on the next webinar. And this is David with Royal. I just showed you how to simplify your digital life. Thanks.